Welcome to the Couch Potato Sports Show, your internet radio home for all sports news and talk. Join Sonny Clark, the hardest working man in sports radio, and the best co-host anyone can ask for, Cuervo. We cover it all from NFL, NBA, MLB, NHL, as well as indoor football and high school sports. So let's do this. Here's Sonny Clark.
All right, everybody. All right, everybody, welcome into the Couch Potato Sports Show. It is me. It is me, Sonny Clark, the hardest working man in sports radio, as we are here on our Sunday tradition that has continued on for 13 and a half years. We'll hit that number 14 mark when Valentine's Day comes around. Right around that time we did, and we will be up on there 14 years. Wow, amazing. Just to start off here, guys, some breaking news, so let's get this out. One of the legends, and guys, this is a legend before the other legends that everybody know in the NBA. I mean, you got to go back some years. You got to go back in the late 60s, early 70s and to know about Bill Russell. Bill Russell, unfortunately, lost his fight and passed away. I'm not sure when he passed away, but it was just announced a couple of hours ago. And you want to talk about a cornerstone? He could be called a cornerstone in Boston Celtics basketball, but he can also be called a cornerstone of the NBA, because before the NBA really got going, it was Bill Russell. Hall of Fame type of dude. And that right there tells you, being in the Hall of Fame is a lot. Now, those that don't know Bill Russell, if he's not in your top 10, you're not looking very hard. You're not giving a lot of credit for a guy that has had such an impact on the game. These games before, the youngins came along. So when you think basketball, when you think the NBA, you think a lot of things. But this guy did everything that you could possibly want as far as a player, did everything that he could possibly need as a player, and for a guy to be considered who he is. So now, according to the release here, he died peacefully with his wife. And that was huge. But this guy, carries a legacy that most guys don't get throughout a career. So think about this, okay? 13 years in Boston, he took them to the finals 12 times. Okay? 12 times. All-American, won 2 straight NCAA championships, also led his teams to 55 consecutive wins, won a gold medal in 1956. The NBA commissioner says that Bill Russell is the greatest champion in all of team sports. Now, granted, Adam Silver, being the commissioner, says a lot of things. But when you talk about all-time great, 5-time MVP, 12-time All-Star, no one would get a shot off. He was one of the best shot blockers in NBA history. Finished with 21,620 career points or career rebounds and averaged 22.5 points a game. Led the league in rebounding 4 times, 51 rebounds in 1 game, 49 in 2 others. He also averaged 15.1 assists and 15.1 points and 4.3 assists over his career. And really no one really stepped toward to what Bill Russell was until Michael Jordan came around. Barack Obama gave him the Medal of Freedom back in 2017. So lots of things that go on when you think about 11 NBA titles. So when you think about what Bill Russell was, he was an innovator. He was a guy that doesn't get seen by a lot of people, obviously because of age. You know, most older people know who he is. Most younger people don't, and probably never will, unless they get up on YouTube and see what he has done throughout his career. And guys, I'm going to tell you right now, there's not too many people that can stand up to what a Bill Russell has done over his career. What he's meant to the NBA and basketball in general, the old ABA. You got to understand, he was part of that transition. And you couldn't meet a nicer dude. And a guy that I always, did it with class. They did it with unspoken word. They did it while they played the game. And instead of their lips moving, they let their body movement speak for what their game was. Red Auerbach is the guy that wanted him really, really bad. And he had to convince the owners to go get him in the draft. The owners wanted somebody else. So you think about all that. And if you think about it at the time, the St. Louis Hawks are the ones that selected Russell in the draft. And Auerbach had to get in there, get that trade in order to get him. And it has been one of the best trades, especially for Boston. Of course, before all the names that you know about Boston, Bill Russell is the one that really set it down. So, and listen, I'm 55 years old, and this guy, I was a youngin' when he was playing. And I only knew of him by name. Got to understand TV back in the day, we didn't always have a TV or did not see the games. So, rest in peace, Bill Russell, coming to you from the Couch Potato Sports Show, and again, he's in my top 10, guys. You go back and you see my list. He's, if I'm not mistaken, number 8 on my list. Actually, mark that. He's number 6 on my list. Before another NBA Boston Celtic great, Larry Bird. So you just can't look at, LeBron. You can't just look at Jordan. You can't just look at guys that are doing it now. These are guys that paved the way for the guys to be bringing home those big contracts that we're talking about. Those contracts that people got, they were on the back of a Bill Russell. So I will tell you right now, this guy, as far as the NBA, definitely will be missed. And I don't think there's anybody that can write, say, or do anything in a negative way about Bill Russell. The man won 8 championships in a row. So you got to understand, you go back, do a little history on Red Auerbach and all that whole thing that was going down as far as that was concerned. Dude was 7'1". He was the one that was the really one of the first guys that were, you could call tall. And in his rookie year, you knew what he was going to be about all his career when he averaged 37.6 points a game. So say whatever you want, the big collision, the battle of the Titans with him and Wilt Chamberlain. So you think about those days, and, interestingly enough, when you think about the two big men in the sport, you think Bill Russell, you think Wilt Chamberlain, and those are the first 1, 2 as far as tall guys are concerned. Nobody else really comes to mind when you talk about guys that were so productive and things of that sort. So I will tell you straight out, do a little, if you don't, go catch some film over there on YouTube. Find out about who Bill Russell is. And I will tell you, it's a big time story coming out today. And again, rest in peace, one Bill Russell, here from the Couch Potato Sports Show. Now, guys, lots of things going on with the Couch Potato Sports Show. If you have not been keeping up with what's going on with the Couch Potato Sports Show, are you gonna be ready, guys? I'm telling you right now, we have been doing some great things. We are getting set. Right now, we are 26 days away from kickoff of the Saxy Mustangs. And I keep getting emails. And by the way, keep them coming. The more about what's going on with the Saxy Mustangs, the better. But, guys, I have been working really, really hard on getting set for those games, getting our production ready to go. And guys, it all starts with the excitement of being back in the booth with the Eagle Eye. And, guys, let me tell you something. I'm gonna debut one of our intros for the games right here. We're gonna do that so Sonny can get a drink and get you all set. But guys, this is just a little taste of what you're gonna get with the Couch Potato Sports Show and the Saxy Mustangs. Take a look. And guys, I'm so excited about what's coming our way, or your way, here on the Couch Potato Sports Show and the premiere of the Saxy Mustangs here on the Couch Potato Sports Show. Excited about what's going on, and just the videos itself. It's going to be a great production. I got a question about what we were doing for the video commentary. It is video commentary, guys. We do not turn the camera towards the field. We're not allowed to do so. So myself and the Eagle Eye Bill Cerna and Big Red Bill Wesson will keep you entertained with the play-by-play on video commentary. We'll have all kinds of videos, all kinds of things, those type of videos and things of that sort throughout the game as we try to entertain you, as well as call the games for the 2022 Saxy Mustangs. It's going to be a great time. And guys, I can't wait. If you can't tell, I can't wait. It's been one of those things where I've been waiting to get up, get going, and get ready for the season and get back behind the microphone, back in the booth. So 2 long years that we have not been there. So that's where we're at. So we're going to do this. We're going to take a quick break because at the top of the hour, we're going to bring on a special guest. It's going to be Marcus Thomas, former Philadelphia Eagle. And he also has his own podcast that I take a listen to a lot, mainly just because of our relationship. Plus, he puts out some good stuff. He put out something the other day about Kyler Murray, and we're going to do that. We're going to talk about that on the other side here with a quick break here on the Couch Potato Sports Show and your Saxy Mustangs Radio Network. We'll be right back.
At Wesson General Contracting Incorporated, we're your one-stop shop for all your general contracting needs. We are locally owned and with over 20 years of experience, so roofing, gutters, sidings, fence staining, painting, foundation problems, or roof damage are no problems at all. Give us a call at 214-200-5588. That's 214-200-5588. Wesson General Contractors.
The prospect of retirement can be exciting and scary at the same time. At Nest Egg Wealth Advisors, we have found many people either approaching or currently in retirement failed to truly maximize some of the benefits offered to them, primarily Social Security. What is it? How does it work? It's simply not a benefit that you start receiving at age 62. Because these decisions are so important, my firm has assembled an informational packet on Social Security. If you would like a complimentary copy of Social Security Maximization, please give our office a call today at 972-412-6064 or visit us on the web at nesteggadvice.com. At the Jerry Bullet Training Center, we are a motivated team of coaches with the mindset of helping you achieve and reach your highest goals. Having developed and trained over 100 Division I athletes as well as Division II athletes, even professional athletes, the Bullet team definitely has the knowledge and mindset to take you to the next level. Check out our new 22,000 square foot facility and 3,000 square foot weight room, along with 4,500 square feet of outdoor turf and covered training area, along with football and soccer field. Contact Melvin Bullitt at 214-326-7853 or visit their facility just outside of Waterview at 8900 Princeton Road in Rowlett.
Being taken for a ride? Check out Costco Insurance, serving Texans since 1981. Bundle your home, auto, or business insurance and save a ton. Costco Insurance on the corner of Main Street and Rowlett Road, where we make insurance fun. Or check us out on the web at CostcoInsurance.com, where we always have the coffee pot on. Yeah, but is it fresh?
The Saxy Mustangs kick off the 2022 season by taking on the Coppell Cowboys live from Homer B. Johnson Stadium at 7 p.m. Make sure you join the Couch Potato Sports Show and the three amigos of the Couch Potato Sports Show, myself, Bill Cerna, and Butch Wesson on the call. And welcome back into the Couch Potato Sports Show. We are here and all set and ready to go. We're going to have a guest coming up here at the top of the hour, and I'm going to start a little bit about what I'm going to speak to Marcus Thomas about. As there was some big news. We were not on last Sunday, but of course on Monday, always something going on. Something big that happens on Mondays, and guess what? This was no different. Because the Arizona Cardinals went ahead, they got their man. Now, the question you have to ask yourself is this really their man? Well, after you sign a deal like this, 5 years, $230.5 million, you got a guy that just got paid, big time paid, for the Arizona Cardinals. Now, I have been so, one side or another regarding this extension for Kyler Murray. And some other news has come out since the contract was set. And interestingly enough, Kyler Murray goes ahead and agrees to this deal. And then there's drama coming the next day or two later. Of course, it wouldn't be the NFL. And Lord knows it wouldn't be the Arizona Cardinals unless there was a little drama. I mean, and you can go back to the days when they were in St. Louis. And guys, this is a guy that knows about the St. Louis Cardinals. Football team. Never mind the baseball team when they were there. Still there, by the way. But I will tell you this. The Bidwells went ahead back in 1986 and decided, St. Louis was enough for them, which was fine, I guess. And then you would get the Rams a few years later on and things of that sort back in St. Louis. But 86, they head over to Arizona, known as the Phoenix Cardinals at the time, and the Bidwells go in and take the Valley by storm by bringing in an NFL football team that was desperately wanted. Now, granted, it wasn't necessarily the Cardinals that people wanted, but they got the Cardinals. Now, you got to go back to Bill Bidwell Sr., and this is a guy, and you can go back and it reminds me of the Chicago Cubs. And what I mean by the Chicago Cubs and the Chicago Bears and they're up in their area, and they're old school mentality because they go back into the 20s, both the Bears, the Cardinals. They were actually the Chicago Cardinals before they got to St. Louis and then moved over to Arizona. But the Bidwells and that whole family organization, as far as the Cardinals are concerned, were never a franchise that was all about spending money. In fact, it took them forever to start spending money. It took the Buddy Ryan regime to really start getting some. They got Clyde Simmons on the defensive side when Buddy brought him over from Philly. And I'm sure Marcus Thomas knows a little bit about that kind of thing. And, oh, gosh, the other guy slipped my mind. But either way, you're talking about a franchise that does not spend money. And when they started to spend money, they kind of did it right, and then they went and did it wrong, and they did it wrong for a while. But now they're in the position where they are with Kyler Murray. Now, you can say whatever you want because this is a damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of deal. And if you go back a few months ago when Kyler Murray decided that he would start demanding things, really before either A, he proved he can do it, B, deserved it, or however you want to do it. Kyler Murray put the pressure on the Arizona Cardinals by starting out, going ahead, scraping out his Instagram and all the things that had anything to do with the Cardinals. But going back to the days where the Cardinals started spending money, this is when the former Philadelphia Eagle head coach went down there, Mr. Buddy Ryan, a personal friend of mine. And I'm going to tell you right now, Buddy Ryan was the star, and that's where they started to get into the place where they started spending money. Now, that being said, of course, that's the name of the show. I want to go ahead and bring him on because he is here, so let's bring him on. That's right. We've had him on the show, Marcus Thomas. Get you all set. How you doing, my friend? Good to see you.
What's on, man? Can you hear me?
I got you good. In fact,
All
I'm going
right.
to turn you. You're perfect. I always have my stuff too high. There you are. I wanted to say, you being the Philadelphia guy, the history about a Buddy Ryan taking guys from the defensive side of the ball. You go down there, Clyde Simmons took him down to the Arizona Cardinals with Buddy Ryan and a couple other folks from the defensive side of the ball to start to get the Arizona Cardinals to thinking, wow, we got to spend money. Now we fast forward to 2022. Not only are they spending money, they are spending the franchise. This was a move that was done by Kyler Murray to really kind of put pressure on the Arizona Cardinals to show that they were going to be dedicated with them. Maybe a year early, maybe not. What's your take up on the situation when you saw the Arizona Cardinals go ahead and offer out that contract?
That's the price of doing business today. Period.
Right now it is, right?
Yeah, because everything, the minute that somebody else gets a contract, then it always becomes a comparison. If that guy got a contract and my stats are better than him, okay, now you know where the bar is set. Look at Devontae Adams, what happened with them. Look at what DK Metcalf just got the other day. That is the price of doing business in the NFL, because now when players go to renegotiate their contract, it would behoove a team to probably try to work a deal out before everybody else gets a deal, because the price is just going to go up.
Absolutely.
So you gotta look at it from both ways. I understand the team is trying to do smart business, but at the end of the day, if your elite players leave, there's not going to be much business getting done, especially if you constantly in the L column.
Right.
So it's a very interesting give and take these days when it comes to that type of stuff. You got to remember, I played in 93 and 94. Right. That was 3 years after Reggie White?
Yep.
So all of that kind of stuff was brand spanking new.
Right.
So now the stuff that they have and the way things are going and the way things are put out in social media, and sometimes the public knows the contract before the player actually does, and just the craziness of it. But you do have a level of transparency that works to the player's advantage, and sometimes it can flip. It can work against, and it can also work against the team, like you see in this nonsense with Kyler down in Arizona.
Definitely. Now, I want to go to exactly what you were talking about, and I just grabbed it up. You had it on your social media. I thought I'd just steal it and bring it here. Talk a little bit about what you're talking about, because I felt what you said. I agreed with a portion of it, totally disagreed on the other side of it, but talk a little bit about what you're talking about here as far as what you're saying about Kyler Murray.
Right. It's like you don't if that's your franchise quarterback, you don't pay somebody like that $105 million. I know the contract is bigger than that,
right?
But the guaranteed money was $105 million guaranteed,
right?
You don't make that decision, and he's got bad study habits and stuff that bother you. That just doesn't make sense to me. You know what I mean? Okay. You don't have somebody, you don't have a friend that knows how to clean pools, and they say, yeah, I'll clean your pool for you for a couple of bucks. Then they want to charge you like they're a real company. Clean it. You don't do that.
Right.
So you don't, if he's your franchise guy, he's the guy driving the car. He's literally the face of the franchise. So everything you do, Kyler Murray's going to be on it.
Right.
You pay him the money after all of the crazy stuff he did with the social media. And again, that's just how people are operating these days.
Today.
It seems silly for me, but again, I'm in my 50s.
We're old school.
Yeah, we old school, man. So but that's the price of doing business. You dealt with all of that stuff before, scrubbing the social media and all of that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, the Cardinals executives, I guarantee you, all of them got in a room and they decided that this was the best way to move forward, and that he was worth the money. Because if he wasn't worth the money, they didn't have to offer him the contract. They could have franchise tagged him, a bunch of other different options they could have did. But you know what? They said he's the best step forward for this team, and they did it. And they put that clause in the contract. Now, my first thought was, why would he sign something like that?
Okay.
And then I'm thinking like, okay, he signed something like that because it was worth $105 million.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking at it from the standpoint as a player. When you watch film, 4 hours, that's nothing.
Right.
4 hours of extra film study is nothing. So I'm kind of looking at it like, why would you even say that? Like 4 hours, like it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to bring attention to that, because I know I mentioned that they leaked it to the public. They really didn't, but they do it knowing that the public will get a hold of these contracts.
Right.
And then to go through all of that, he's got to answer the questions. He had the press conference. And then for the Cardinals to walk it back, it just makes them look silly. Because like you created a controversy that didn't need to exist. Now, every time he has a good game, when he has a good game, it's going to be like, yeah, he must have been in the playbook. When he has a bad game, they're going to be like, yep, you got to get in that playbook a little bit more. It's going to go.
Hey, Marcus, last season when they went up to Detroit, I mean, I'm going to tell you right now, that was a guy that was lost. It almost like he didn't know the playbook. Now, granted, he does. Okay, I don't want to say. I've said some pretty foolish things on this show. Believe me. Just go back in the archive. But I think the reason why the Arizona Cardinals, first of all, this amount of money is unprecedented. This is not the kind of money that the Arizona Cardinals, or for that matter, any other franchise out there that has been able to do. Obviously, it's the second highest in the NFL right now. So not any other ones are doing that. For the Cardinals to step forward, now you got to understand the Bidwells, you got to understand the history, and you probably do know a little bit of this history. This is a history of a franchise that don't spend the money, and if they do, they want some damn results, and they want some conditions on that result. And, you know, I've been listening. I listened to everybody, whether it was Stephen A. or Skip Bayless or any of these guys. And they to a certain point, to your extent, you say, why put it in there? Well, that's just what they want for their $106 million. Okay, that's what they want, and they put it on paper, and you don't get what you want unless you put it on paper. Now, granted, it should be known, and I'm not saying that Kyler Murray is a guy that would not do film study, but what they're saying is these are the expectations for $106 million with the Arizona Cardinals if you want to stay here. And I think the Arizona Cardinals also are setting a bad precedent.
Absolutely.
And the bad precedent is that, well, if Kyler doesn't like it, then we got to step down and we got to back off of what we say. And here it is. Here's the statement coming from the Arizona Cardinals, saying about the distractions that it created, and they removed the addendum from the contract as it is clearly perceived in ways that were never intended. I got news for you. That's exactly what that contract insinuated and intended. And the simple fact of the matter is now you got a situation where you got a $105 million baby boy over there, and then you cannot, you got to pat him on the head. You got to make him happy. And this is not going to make him happy. And all this is going to roll by. I think the Arizona Cardinals, and I know I am very one of a few that believe the Arizona Cardinals made a big mistake. If you're going to sign that contract, you put conditions on it. And if you don't want to, don't sign the contract, period. In the story, when I say it, but then you get the chirpers, then you get the Skip Bayless and everybody else talking about the situation. Now, here comes Kyler, a little bit offended and everything else. And I see it as business. His business people dropped the ball. They should have never signed that contract knowing that what that was. And that was a drop of the ball from Kyler Murray as well as his representation.
There's a little bit that goes on both ways. But at the end of the day, when you cannot create a distraction. People get on players for that kind of stuff every year. You cannot be a distraction. Antonio Brown posting live in the post game meeting. You can't be a distraction.
Can't do that.
You know, there's a million examples every year, and for a team to do it, the only team that has done stuff like this, not like this, but I'm saying being a distraction where an owner will say something stupid. I know the Colts got in trouble. Was it Irsay a couple years ago? Jerry Jones.
Yep.
Your boy up in New England, when he got in trouble for the, you laugh at Deshaun Watson, but look what the owner did. You know what I'm saying? So,
well, hold on. Okay, we're talking 26 to maybe 1.
Well, but guess what? That we know of. You know, when you were owner and you got billions instead of millions, your reach is a little bit further. But at the end of the day, you are the owner of a franchise. So you know what? Your moral compass should be a little bit higher. Should being the key word in the sentence.
Definitely.
But at the end of the day, there are people that there was a meeting that was had in Arizona, and they decided collectively that this was a good idea. That's the problem. Because to me, it's unnecessary. I don't care what you say.
Shouldn't have been in there.
It shouldn't have been in there, but
even if something understood between ownership, coach, and player.
Even if you thought it should be in there, then if you think it should be in there, why are you giving them that contract? That's the problem I have, because there's too many examples of what not to do.
Right.
You can't do that.
And the Cardinals are really good at what not to do. Believe me.
And let's not listen, Arizona. Y'all not too far removed from 3-13. Stop playing.
Yeah.
So and now you got somebody that's got you over the top. Okay, he got to the end into playoffs and he got smashed. Guess what? You look at Jalen Hurts when we played when we lost to the Giants, when we should have lost to the Carolina Panthers. We got lucky from special teams. Same boat. So he's not experienced nothing that is different to any other player.
Right.
Elite level on down. Everybody has bad games. And guess what? I don't care how bad Detroit was. They got people on the other side of the ball that get paid too.
And they are not as bad as that record is showing, by the way.
Exactly. So it's not like Detroit was just like, well, we're gonna give it to you. No, they played ball too. They watched film and they did what they had to do. And they
lost 7 games by 3 points or less as well.
Exactly. But maybe that game, it was that was that day for them.
Yep.
But stuff like that gets pushed to the wayside because everybody want to jump on the headlines.
Right.
So if not for nothing else, Kyler Murray will be a lot more conscious about his film time now. Not saying he wasn't before. Because just like in my post, I don't care what anybody says, you do not get to that level of success without being prepared for it. Now, the way he
said that, by the way, he even he came out and said it himself. As far as what this is, actually, this is the one that I meant to put up there. Is that you can't accomplish everything he has during his career. Completely understand what he's talking about, but really, when you read that from him, and by the way, I agree. Listen, he was down the street, Allen. I'm down here in the Dallas area. He won all the games down here in Allen in the big city. He's part of the reason why there's a $65 million high school football stadium down here to watch football in. So he's part of the reason why that was a part of it. But somewhere, like you said, somewhere, whether it was owner, whether it was coach, whether it was whatever the case may be, felt like there was something lacking that they needed to address, but they did. They addressed it in a wrong way of doing that when they could have taken this contract and said, we got our guy, and everybody's happy. And then what they've done is they flip-sided that with what they put in there as far as the clause is concerned.
Yeah, but also, how are you going to enforce it?
Well,
that's like me trying to ask you, do you love your parents? Prove it. What are you going to show me to answer that question? You can't.
Right.
At the end of the day, it's going to play itself out in how he plays on the field.
Right.
Now, if they go back into film sessions and he's making dumb mistakes, that's a different conversation. Right. But I don't think that's what's going on. they can bitch, moan, and gripe about him not having enough film time, but as owners, you can, pull them up to the office and stuff like that. That type of stuff will play itself out. You don't put that stuff on Front Street. That goes back to this whole new era of conversation. I remember very vividly when we were after Randall got hurt in '93, and we were losing, and the city was beating us up. Inquirer, WIP, all of that was beating us up. And Kotite was like, don't read the paper and don't talk to the people in the press, especially on WIP. That's as far as it went. Mm-hmm. But it was handled in-house. Teams can't handle things in-house anymore, and it causes problems. Right. And again, that's the cost of doing business these days in the NFL, because everything is on Front Street. It is very, very difficult to keep things in-house.
Yep, it's on display every day. As soon as someone opens their mouth, it's social media. It's heard within 20 seconds, and then boom, boom, boom. The rest, then you either A, got the distraction, or B, you have to explain what was put out there, and it's not always the greatest thing in the world. That being said, that's the name of this fan program here on a Sunday afternoon. I got a guy that keeps track of the Philadelphia Eagles. Next week, we are going to cover the NFC East here on our two-a-days, along with the AFC and NFC East. Want to get your take up on the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm not going to say where I think they're going to end up. That'll be for next week. But talk a little bit about when you look at the NFC East, you're talking teams that either A, are weak, or B, unproven, or C, have a new regime. So you got a combination of 1, 2, 3, and as well as I do, when you got that means you don't have anything that's solid that you can stand up on per week in, week out, because it's new. It's something different, and you never know what you're going to get. The old Forrest Gump line. Right. Looking at this division in your Philadelphia Eagles, how do you think they fare based upon what you know, based upon the new regime, based upon the new guys that are there, and what Jalen Hurts is bringing to the table here in his second year?
It's funny because we check all three of them boxes. We had issues. We had some success at the end when Sirianni decided to flip the script and actually run the ball. We still know I am a Jalen Hurts fan. Mm-hmm. I think he's the right kid for the team, but I'm also realistic, and I know what he needs to work on.
Right, absolutely.
A lot of stuff that we hear on the outside, I've heard so much stuff about he's got a noodle arm, this, that, and the other. And I'm like, I don't know what y'all watching, but that's not him. Plus, long ball's overrated anyways.
Absolutely.
Most of the successful passes come from 10 20 in the middle of the field. So there's a lot of nuance when it comes to that. But I think, in my opinion, it'll come down to Philadelphia and Dallas. I think Philadelphia has the better team, but right now, Dak is still a better quarterback. And that's keeping it real. I need Jalen Hurts to take that next step up. He doesn't have to throw for 4,500. If he can get close to the 4,000 yard mark, and I've gone back and I'm looking at some games, and we left a lot on the field last year. We had about 6 or 7 touchdowns that were called back because of penalties, different things like that would have put him in a different light as far as his passing ability. So, but it still remains that he has to be a better passer this year than he was last year. I think he will be that person. If not for no other reason, he is in the same offense for the second year for the first time in his career. That has never happened for him.
Yep.
So most people really don't understand how difficult it is to learn an NFL offense. And now you've been going from each year, you get a new offensive coordinator. Now you studying for the same test for the second year in a row. Things should be a little bit better. The game should slow down for him a little bit. And we got A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So we got weapons.
The big-time off-season pickups for Philadelphia that, regardless of what you think about that player, it's definitely a step up from what they had.
Yep. So I think it'll come down to us in Dallas. If we don't make any silly mistakes, if he doesn't have any, crazy offshoot games where he throws 3 picks, like he did against Carolina and the Giants. Stuff like that. We should be able to handle our division, and I believe it'll come down to us in Dallas.
And it'll probably come down to week 16, 17, and 18 right there, like it always does.
Yeah.
Now, my question is, based upon Fields and where he is, or not Fields, but your guy Jalen
Hurts, yeah.
You got a full year of film on him.
Mm-hmm.
You have defensive coordinators that live and die on film all off season. That's all they do is just sit and watch film, sit and watch film, sit and watch film. They sit and watch film up on Jalen Hurts. Now, that being said, I think, and this would be a personal opinion, he better switch it up a little bit because that's all those defensive coordinators are going to do. That's all the Giants and the Washington new team and the Dallas Cowboys are going to do. They're going to know his game based upon what he's going to do. How's he going to have to switch it up?
In my opinion, his biggest criticism is not his arm, is his accuracy and anticipation. Throwing the ball on time, throwing receivers open, and finding the man that is open, finding the soft spot in the zone or in the defense. That's what he has to do. That's nothing out of the ordinary for any quarterback. Where I think the difference has to come in is on Sirianni or whoever's calling the plays this year. That we did next to no wide receiver motion last year. I don't know why. Nobody was in motion. Our screen game was literally non-existent. And just a personal pet peeve of mine, being a former running back, I hate when teams run out of shotgun formation.
Yep.
So we got, in my opinion, a home run hitter in Miles Sanders if you use him correctly. I think they need to line Sanders back, put him in ace formation, and let him come downhill and run a true play action from under center. You can always go back and gun.
Right.
But Jalen Hurts needs to be under center so he can drop back, stick that arm out, and bring those defensive linebackers, make them pause a step or take a step up so you can create that separation in the middle. That opens up for whoever your slot receiver is. That'll open up for A.J. Brown. That'll open up for Devontae Smith. And it definitely opens up for Dallas Goedert. Dallas Goedert is the X factor.
The guy.
Because we got another good tight end if we use them right.
Mm-hmm.
And we got to put our screen game together. I went back and watched some of our games when we still had Big Red, and the stuff we used to do with the screen when we had Darren Sproles was just unstoppable.
Sproles, yep.
Mm-hmm. And we don't have nobody like Sproles. Boston Scott is.
You haven't replaced Sproles, by the way, since he's left.
No,
and there hasn't been anybody that's been able to step in those type of shoes.
Right. And we need to find that. And it doesn't have to be a Sproles-like player. We can run screens with Miles. We can run screens with Kenny Gainwell. And we can definitely run tight end screens with Goddard. We just have to do it. So I'm looking for Sirianni to really open up the playbook. All the stuff that he said he couldn't do last year, all that stuff's off the table. And we're in a perfect situation because now Jalen Hurts, when you hear people talk about the intangibles, he's a great leader. He's this, that, and the other. He's the guy you want in the locker room. Where that serves us well is he's the kind of kid that heard the criticism from Tampa Bay when they said that he couldn't read defenses. When they got that on tape during the game, he took that to heart. So he's the type of guy that's going to go out and say, all right, I'm going to prove you all wrong. If he doesn't, he's the type that understands, like, dude, you got your shot. If you didn't prove it, somebody else is coming in. Absolutely. And you'll be fighting for your job next year. So we're in a win-win situation because he's either going to thrive or he knows that he'll be promoted to fan next year. So we're in a good spot. And I think that he's the guy that can do it. I think his passing game will go up. I think he will open up the passing tree, especially I think A.J. Brown is going to open up Devontae Smith, and Devontae Smith is going to really open up Dallas Goedert. That's going to be the difference. Goddard is going to be the key for us.
Well, then one last thing before we get you out. Thanks for joining us here actually on Sunday. And it's a true or false with an explanation because I got a truth that I'm going to lay down. if the Philadelphia Eagles can manage 750 yards out and the rushing game without Fields' numbers, they win this division fairly easy because of what you just said, which was almost you opened it up. Now you're opening up the wide receivers. Now you got some actual weapons, which let's be honest, that running game was not anything to write the home mama about last year. They need to open up that running game. And if they can get 750 yards from someone besides Jalen Hurts. So Jalen's going to get his. They need 750 yards somewhere else. They win this division.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. I want to see I don't want to see Jalen Hurts. I don't want to see not one RPO next year or this year. I don't want to see it. Run the ball with the people you pay to run the ball.
Right.
Now, the reason why I'm big on Jalen Hurts being under center and dropping back 5 or 7 step drop, then if you see something coming and you got to use your legs to extend the play or take off, then you do that.
Yes.
But when we are running the ball, I want to see Jalen Hurts with 5 scrambles or less per game.
I agree.
If we got 10 to 15 touches, Miles Sanders should have 12 carries a game, period.
And not only that, when I'm looking at what's going on there, he's got the same things that when you go back and look at some of the other young guys that are out there doing what he is doing, running the ball first by instinct, then maybe seeing what's going to be open as he's going down there when they start the scrambling. I think that's what they need to do. They need to get not to take away everything that he can do with his legs, but listen, you got to take away 80% of what he's been doing, or he's going to end up like RG3. He's going to end up after all these other guys that are going to get popped, because all he's going to take is one of those guys on the defensive side, that has a clear shot at him. And not only they're going to take it, they're going to take it too far and hurt him. And then you got to figure out what you're going to do at the backup quarterback position. And what is that?
Gardner Minshew. But to your point, all it takes for him, he doesn't even have to get injured. He just has to get nicked up.
Yep.
Then that means he has to go back to what we all want him to do anyways.
Yep.
So do that first.
Yep, start there and then see if it works, and I bet you it will. See, if you look out for it, it's got a better shot of working.
Yeah, and one thing you said earlier, just imagine if we would have been running the ball for the first 5 games.
Oh God, yeah. You guys would have won that playoff game.
We would have had it. And
you would have won that playoff game.
The one thing I was always curious about was and I go all the way back to our first game last year against Atlanta. The offense, the tempo, and the way we ran our offense that game, that only happened that one game. We had an up-tempo offense. Jalen Hurts never sat back with the ball for too long. Everything was in motion. Everything was moving. Get up to the line. Basically, most of the game, they ran a hurry-up offense.
Right.
And they only did it that one game. And I was like, why did we stop doing that?
Yep.
And if you look at the stats, when Jalen Hurts threw 25 or more pass attempts, we got in trouble. If he was 25 and below with a balanced running game, we were hard to stop.
Absolutely. And I say this for Lamar Jackson as well. And any guy that does this, you need to be a consistent 250, 252 touchdowns each game. And that's when you're going to take yourself to the elite. I love some Lamar Jackson, but until he can consistently, and I'm talking consistently, put 252 touchdowns together, 4 games, 5 games in a row. First of all, they'll still continue to win football games. It'll also take pressure off them. And number 3, the health of this guy is going to last a lot longer, and he's going to end up being a Hall of Fame quarterback if they end up doing it. So,
but they got to get him some receivers because
that too. And I can, I had people telling me, I said, listen, until the Baltimore Ravens get this guy a real number 1 wide receiver, not a maybe a 2, it's not going to happen, and you're going to still see the same Lamar Jackson, and then you're going to see another situation as he was last year where he got hurt, and you're going to lose him for half the year.
Lamar can throw the ball.
Yeah, absolutely.
Lamar, I will never forget because mind you, I graduated from Eastern Kentucky, so anything in Kentucky I'm aware of. So I used to watch him when he was still at Louisville, and I remember he had a game where he just went nuts. Right. He was doing some Madden stuff on the field. Right? But after that game, they were talking about he wouldn't be able to that kind of game wouldn't be able to translate to the next level. The next game he threw for almost 500 yards and 5 touchdowns.
Right.
And throwing darts. He wasn't throwing like getting lucky on a long ball or a screen that went 70 yards. He was putting the ball where it needed to be. And I was like, that kid can throw. So if Baltimore can get him some weapons, that somebody that a true number one, to your point, that he can become comfortable with, that boy's gonna be dangerous.
Absolutely.
Even more. I mean, he already is dangerous. So
exactly, just add more up on top of it.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely. So that being said, that's the name of the show. Marcus, before you leave, give me the NFC East final tally. Who you got up on top, second, third, and fourth?
It's going to be Eagles, Cowboys, Giants, and who am I missing? Eagles, Cowboys, Giants, Washington. Yeah. Washington's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Because I don't expect anything from Washington. However, I am not one of those people that thinks Carson Wentz just sucks.
Oh, no.
I'm like,
former Eagle, by the way.
Something was going around. Now, mind you, he did crap the bed in Indy last year. He just choked at that last game. Ain't no way.
That's the choke. That's the choke.
But,
the 7 games before that, Marcus, this guy was all. This guy
was
all pro quarterback in those 7 games before.
He was lighting it up, and you just don't forget how to play.
Nope.
So your boy in Washington, what's his name? They got a good coach.
Right.
They got a good coach. So
Chico.
That's an X factor.
Yep.
If Carson plays like Carson is able to play, they might be all right. Because guess what?
Especially in this division. What a great pick
with Taylor Heineke,
right?
Yeah. They gave us trouble last year with Heineke.
Yep. Absolutely.
So
watch out. Listen, they're the dark horse in this division. They'll be real good. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by real good, they'll be challenging for second place within the division. And that's real good for them, by the way.
I think they might,
or they'll be dead last, one of the two. And I just don't. I agree with you 100%. And when we were going to do this division today, that team is the one that had me wondering, will they go ahead and take that step with Carson Wentz and go into that second spot? And because really, I'm worried about Dallas's defense. I'm worried about them being the predictable thing that they were last year. Just got lucky. And yeah, I just said it. They got lucky. You don't get as many interceptions, like that without getting a little lucky. And sooner or later, the luck's going to go away, and the yards they give up in order for them to get those interceptions are too much.
Yeah,
and that's where I'm worried about the Dallas Cowboys.
But I tell you what, though, our defense this year is going to be hellacious.
Absolutely, and that's the reason why I think I got them winning this division by at least 2 games, if not 3.
Defense will lead our team this year, not Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is still going to play well, but defense is going to. We are a gangrene city once again. Gangrene defense, man.
And that's what you guys should have been. I mean, that's been the history of that. That whole thing. So get it squared away. Marcus, thanks for joining us. I get you back to your family. I appreciate your time. If you ever need me, give me a scream. We'll get out there if you need me. But always a pleasure to have you up on the show.
You got it, man. Check me out on Pro Fan Talk every Thursday night at 7 p.m. A2D Radio.
And I like it. I listen to it quite a bit because I'm at work when I'm listening to it. So it is a good show. I appreciate that as well. So he is Marcus Thomas. Thanks for your time, my friend. Have yourself a great day. And guys, you got it. And I will tell you guys, this is going to be an interesting season in the NFC East. And we're going to talk about that tomorrow or next Sunday as I bring in Cuervo. By the way, no Cuervo today. That's why I brought in Marcus for a little bit to talk a little bit about I had him scheduled, so I wanted to get him in here before I found out that Cuervo wasn't going to be here. But I want to jump back a little bit to the Kyler Murray situation, because the Kyler Murray situation, I get what Marcus is saying, because this is coming from a football and guy that's been there. Now, granted, fans and everything, they don't know the ins and outs of football. Boy, we think we do. But here's one thing that I know. Not what I think I know, because I know a lot of things I think I know, and Lord knows they're completely wrong. But no, this is what I know. I know the Arizona Cardinals. And guys, I'm going to tell you, the Arizona Cardinals are a god-awful franchise. They've been better for the last 5 years, but before that, they were a complete and utter joke. And everybody, by the way, and everybody knew it. Clyde Simmons, back in the day when they picked him up, and the other guy on the other side, his name's slipping my mind. But I'm going to tell you right now, with the Arizona Cardinals, they're doomed with this Kyler Murray pick. I'm not even saying because of the money. Because let's be honest, the $105 million is nothing. That's a 3-year contract. Okay? That's a 3-year contract. In reality, at around about $35 million. That's the guaranteed money. And the Arizona Cardinals are going to know that. And by the way, this was a great, on one side of it, is a good signing for the Arizona Cardinals because of the fact that they get out of it for 106. That's all they have to pay this guy. And I got news for you. Within the next 2 years, we'll know whether or not he's going to be worth the other part of the money that's coming on this contract, which a lot of times they never meet up to it or they don't fulfill it. They end up on a different team. So when I'm looking at the Arizona Cardinals, when I'm seeing what they signed, first of all, they really didn't have a choice. Okay, the only choice that they had, guys, and I said this because this was in the mix a little bit of the talking. Right now, they can't do it because of the signing. But Jimmy Garoppolo was available if they could not get this Kyler Murray thing under control. And yes, the 49ers probably would have traded within the division. Okay, just so they can put him off, which, by the way, they made a horrible decision this week as they decided that it is time. It is time for them to move on. And I'm going to tell you right now, this is the dumbest thing that I've seen a successful franchise do. And when I say successful, I'm talking about a guy that got him into the playoffs. If you honestly are going to be looking at the Afc West with the San Francisco 49ers not in third place or worse, then you're not paying attention to, first of all, the division. Because right now, I got my money on Kyler Murray more than I got on Trey. And then you got the Rams winning the division. There's no way that this move gets them out of third place. With Jimmy Garoppolo, they have a chance of winning the division, never mind ending up second place and possibly in the playoffs. Now, you can sit and argue the money. This money that Jimmy Garoppolo is making at $25 million is a complete and utter joke. It is bargain basement quarterback money. $25 million. I cannot believe the 49ers are going to take 2023 and just flush it down the toilet. You got a tough division of football to play in. There are 3 teams in there, and I will tell you this. The Seattle Seahawks they're an incredible disappointment, and you're going to see that. And the 13th man, it wouldn't matter if they had 16 men. The Seattle Seahawks are a complete and utter disaster without a real quarterback. And funny enough, the guys that are in flow for Jimmy Garoppolo are one Seattle Seahawks. But again, within the division, 2 teams within this division that had an opportunity to get Jimmy G. One was the Arizona Cardinals if that whole thing went sideways with Kyler Murray. And then you got this. It's really their only option because they lost out on the Baker Mayfield situation. And this is a team that has been rumored to be sold soon. And that's not a good thing either, regardless, however you look at this. okay? Because the new regime is going to bring in a new coach. Listen, I tell you, I marked it on this show a year ago. Not a year, at the end of the season, of last season, with Pete Carroll. Without Russell Wilson, will he have the heart to be able to coach this team back to greatness? I questioned it then. I really question it now, because with the rumors that they're putting this franchise up for sale, Pete Carroll will not be the coach of that football team. It just won't happen because of the money that he will want and the power that he will want. Any new regime is not going to come in here and agree with that kind of thing. It's just not going to happen. So where are the situation with the 49ers when they're going to go ahead and start Trey? It is utterly ridiculous. It's one of the worst moves right now that is going on in football as far as the NFC West is concerned. We already know Seattle is a dumpster fire. But that dumpster fire becomes very much better. Might be just a little fire in the dumpster more so than being crazy ablaze. Because Jimmy Garoppolo is a good quarterback. And all you got to do is take a look at the number, folks. Look at the pass percentage. Look what he did. Yeah, he had a bad end of the game when they were going to lose the game anyway situation. But you think that Trey Lance would be able to get that football team to the playoffs like Jimmy Garoppolo did? Not only that, hurt. You know, sometimes when I read things that are going on as far as who's going to do what, when they're going to do it, why they're going to do it, I'm completely blown out of my mind. I came on a couple weeks ago talking about Pete Carroll and talking about how everybody's so happy with what they're getting at the quarterback position right now in Seattle. Right now, a big thing. You know, this is huge news, by the way. Okay, with what's going on. When you see Drew Lock not be able to beat out, oh man, I can't even. It makes zero sense to me. And Seattle needs to open up the pocketbooks right now, and they really do. They're going to sell the team. Just open up the pocketbooks. They're just going to turn that around anyway. But don't just throw 2022 away, which is what they're in the process of doing. Now, granted, this is a tough division of football. But if you don't have Jimmy G in San Francisco, the only team you're really looking at as being a real threat are the Rams. And depending on what you're going to get from Kyler Murray. Back to Kyler Murray, you're talking about a guy that has not been able to, make the big play or stay healthy. The Arizona Cardinals threw a lot of money at a guy that they cannot depend upon. I'm sorry, you can't. Now, if you want to be a Homer, Texas, Allen, Eagles fan, saying Kyler Murray is the greatest thing come along since free punt, that's absolutely fine. You can believe that. But all you got to do is go back to not just last year, the year before, the last 6 games of the season. You saw Kyler Murray that was hurt. They wouldn't put it out there that he was hurt, and he cannot play when he's hurt. And if Kyler Murray comes across any kind of injury, if you're an Arizona Cardinal fan or you expect the Arizona Cardinals to make the playoffs, you might as well just stop because it's not going to happen. But back to Kyler Murray. We showed you the statement. Here's the statement right here. After seeing the distraction it created, we removed the addendum from the contract. It was clearly perceived in other ways than it was never intended. Now, I'm stopping it right there because it was fully intended to be that way. You're not going to be able to convince me any differently. You don't put something in the contract that you're not expecting this guy to do. And whether it was right or wrong, whether or not it was perceived that it was something that was, or whether or not they went about it wrong, or whatever the case may be, someone, whether it was in coaching, ownership, or franchise ownership, forking over the money for this guy, they want to make sure that they have the confidence in Kyler Murray. And they come back and say, our confidence in Kyler Murray is highest it's ever been, and nothing demonstrates that belief and ability to lead the team more than a commitment reflected in this contract. That was put in the contract because someone who had authority that said he's not doing enough. And if you want our $106 million, this is what you're going to do to get it. I don't think it was a mistake. I think it was obviously a message that was sent out to Kyler Murray. I ain't giving you $106 million until I know you're dedicated. Whether the perception is right or wrong, and you got the money and you're paying the money, you're the one that has the right perception because you're the one that's forking over the money. Now, I'm going to tell you, I don't listen, and this is the part where, Sonny, you don't necessarily know, and you might be right. I've seen it on different levels, but I really, the Arizona Cardinals dropped the ball here, standing tall and saying, no, this is what the contract read because this is what we want from our guy. It shows dedication. It doesn't necessarily mean for 2 seconds, okay, that we don't think that he is doing it. We're just reiterating that we want him to do it. But really, in reality, they do know he's not doing it, or they don't think it's enough, and they wanted that in the contract. Good, bad, or indifferent, right or wrong, the Arizona Cardinals getting out of their way like they normally can't do. I mean, you're talking about a football team in the Arizona Cardinals that cannot get out of their own way because of the way they're built, because of who they are and how they do business. And when they do business, it's never good. And if you can't understand that as a Arizona Cardinal fan, you haven't been watching long enough or living long enough to understand who the Bidwells are. And by God, they're going to get their money. By God, they're going to get their money's worth if they're going to throw this money out there. And the fact that they caved tells me that now the Arizona Cardinals have zero, and I mean zero, leverage against Kyler Murray. Because if Kyler Murray ain't going to want to do it, don't want to do it, I don't like this, I ain't going to do it, that whole attitude changes when this ended up happening. And this was an opportunity to say, yes, you got your money, but you got it on our terms. Yeah, you had your terms, but these are our terms. And not only that, you signed the damn contract. So someone's dumb enough to sign the damn contract first. He just saw the money signs. He didn't see the conditions. And the Arizona Cardinals just opened themselves up to another 3 years of, well, if I don't like it, I ain't going to do it. Crybaby bullshit that brings NFL franchises down to their knees. And the Arizona Cardinals are used to it because it's been, you take away the Kurt Warner years, this is a franchise that has been lost in oblivion for 25 to 30 years before that. Now, I'm not saying Kyler Murray is not a good quarterback. So I've already received emails that, well, you just don't think it. No, I think Kyler Murray is a good quarterback. The problem is that someone has to say no to this guy. You can't do this. And what they just did by changing this thing makes it impossible for the Arizona Cardinals to ever say, we want you to do this. I don't care if you like it or not. The contract is what it is. You signed it. And I'm not taking those excuses anymore because this is what we are getting. This is what the NFL is coming to. This is what's coming to the NFL if you've got skills that demand this kind of money. Not only do you get the money, but you can be a spoiled brat in the middle of doing it. Yeah, I just said it. A spoiled brat. Yeah, I didn't want to do it, so I'm not gonna. And $106 million of my money, you're going to do what I say, not what you want. It's pretty. See, the Arizona Cardinals are a bad team for other different things. Listen, Kyler Murray is going to make them better if they can stay healthy. Okay, they're going to fight for the second or third spot in this division. Listen, you know, the 49ers, they could be now beginning to get lost in that oblivion because if they really honestly think what's going to happen with Trey Lance at the quarterback position, expecting him to take them to the playoffs. I mean, my dad used to say, you wish in one hand, shit in the other, and see which one fills up first, because that's what's going to be happening in San Francisco. It's actually pretty sad. So, but always good to have Marcus Thomas on the show. It gives us a good Philly perspective. Sometimes we get Greg in here, but we have him there. We bring him in and talk a little bit of that. More things that we're going to be talking about. We're going to talk about the Chicago Bears a little bit later on. Got a little clip on them I thought was interesting. We'll be talking some Kirk Cousins as well. I'll take a look at what's going on in Green Bay. What is going to happen in Green Bay with their situation, since they don't really have a number one wide receiver? Where are they at? Well, I think it's pretty easy, but that being said, of course, that's the name of the show. That's just the way the ball bounces, and they're going to have to figure it out. So we're going to talk about that and all other things on the other side here on the Couch Potato Sports Show. And that being said, we'll be right back.
At Wesson General Contracting Incorporated, we're your one-stop shop for all your general contracting needs. We are locally owned and with over 20 years of experience, so roofing, gutters, sidings, fence staining, painting, foundation problems, or roof damage are no problems at all. Give us a call at 214-200-5588. That's 214-200-5588. Wesson General Contractors.
The prospect of retirement can be exciting and scary at the same time. At Nest Egg Wealth Advisors, we have found many people either approaching or currently in retirement failed to truly maximize some of the benefits offered to them, primarily Social Security. What is it? How does it work? It's simply not a benefit that you start receiving at age 62. Because these decisions are so important, my firm has assembled an informational packet on Social Security. If you would like a complimentary copy of Social Security Maximization, please give our office a call today at 972-412-6064 or visit us on the web at nesteggadvice.com. At the Jerry Bullet Training Center, we are a motivated team of coaches with the mindset of helping you achieve and reach your highest goals. Having developed and trained over 100 Division I athletes as well as Division II athletes, even professional athletes, the Bullet team definitely has the knowledge and mindset to take you to the next level. Check out our new 22,000 square foot facility and 3,000 square foot weight room, along with 4,500 square feet of outdoor turf and covered training area, along with football and soccer field. Contact Melvin Bullitt at 214-326-7853 or visit their facility just outside of Waterview at 8900 Princeton Road in Rowlett.
Being taken for a ride? Check out Costco Insurance, serving Texans since 1981. Bundle your home, auto, or business insurance and save a ton. Costco Insurance on the corner of Main Street and Rowlett Road, where we make insurance fun. Or check us out on the web at CostcoInsurance.com, where we always have the coffee pot on.
Yeah, but is it fresh?
The Saxony Mustang pregame show will be brought to you one day before the game kicks off. Check us out on the Couch Potato Sports Show as we bring in coaches and other people taking a look at the game. It is the Saxony Mustang pregame show here on the Couch Potato Sports Show. The Saxony Mustangs start off the season with the Coppell Cowboys on August 25th at 7 p.m. Coming to you live from Homer V. Johnson Stadium. Welcome back into the Couch Potato Sports Show. It is me, Sonny Clark, the hardest working man in sports radio here on Sunday afternoon as we are getting set. Next week, we start the two-a-days and we start with the AFC and NFC East. We'll be doing that. We were supposed to do it today. Cuervo got called into action, so he was unable to be here, so we will start that next week. I'm looking forward to that. As we do it each and every year, we'll write it down, we'll keep track of it, and find out where we think these teams will end up this year. By the way, got an email text from Todd Mins, and he brought up an interesting idea. Now, I say interesting. I don't necessarily agree with it. But when you think about the AFC West, okay, now we're not talking about the AFC West, and we're not going to break it down, but just talking about the AFC West, look at the teams that are in that division. That division holds the Kansas City Chiefs. It holds not the former San Diego Superchargers, the LA Chargers. They have the Las Vegas Raiders, and they have the Broncos with the new addition there of one Russell Wilson. And he brought it up and he said, could you imagine all three of the teams that you obviously get the champion, but the other three teams all making the playoffs? Okay. So when he first said it, that was my reaction. Okay. Initially. But then I started thinking about it, and I went to the divisions. And what really brought it to mind is I started in the AFC South when I started thinking about it, going, well, how many are going to come out of that division of football except the team that wins the division? Probably not. I mean, I don't know. You got Indianapolis, Houston, Tennessee, and the Jacksonville Jaguars. I don't know. All I know is that I don't think more than one are going to make it. And that being said, of course, that's the name of the show. Just talking, here's Todd Mintz talking about that. And so I started there. I was like, well, maybe he might have something to talk about. And then I went to the AFC West. Well, what do they got in there? Miami, they're horrible. They got the Jets. They got the Buffalo Bills that are going to be there. And then I stopped. Whoa. And I don't know what you think about the Patriots, but that's a team that could do it. So you could have two out there, so that would knock one of the teams out there. And then I went to the North, and I was like, man, Pittsburgh, just not the same. But, look at what's going on with the Bengals. The Bengals are actually looking like a football team. They look like a well-oiled machine. Obviously making the Super Bowl last year, possibly going to win that division of football. And the Browns, they're a complete and utter disaster. They're the laughingstock of the NFL, something that is not new. I mean, really, in reality, you know, you think about the moves that they have made as far as what they're doing, regardless. But if, and this is a slight if, I don't know what the NFL is going to do. I already told you what I think about it. If they get their starting quarterback, the Cleveland Browns are not an easy out. I'm not saying they're going to go on and win 10, 11, 12, 13 games, but Deshaun Watson's good enough for at least 7 games, maybe 8. And Lord forbids that they start playing well and they keep them all year and they get them all year long. Who knows what's going to happen there? But if you're counting out the Ravens, I think that that's probably not a smart thing to do right now either, and especially if Lamar Jackson remains healthy, and especially if they get it through their thick heads, he needs to throw for 250 and 2 touchdowns a game instead of running his life away, then that's a whole other situation. Now, you're going to have those division winners. It's whether or not one of those other teams, whether it be the Bengals or the Ravens or the other team that's not going to win the championship or the division, the Bills or the Patriots, we could only see maybe one of them going there. And I agree with you, Todd. I agree with you that they're not a lock. Because really, this is really, when you're looking at where the Patriots are, even last year, you saw what they were able to do. You questioned whether or not it could get done. Mac Jones showed that he has glimmers of success. Not, bitch slap you upside your head, definite. But I will say this, you can't count them out. They're not in the same, they are definitely not the same team. And what they are going to do within that division, whether it be the Jets, I don't know. Will the Jets maybe finally take a step forward? I doubt it. But really, there's 2-2 within the North and the East that have an opportunity. I do not see all 3 teams making the playoffs coming out of the West. I just don't see it. The Las Vegas odds are totally against it. And it just, with the opportunity of one of those other 2, whether it's Baltimore or Cincinnati or the Buffalo Bills and or the Patriots, that wouldn't be all 3. Now, could there be an instance where maybe they'll get 3? It's a possibility. But that will just all depend on those other 2 teams that will end up second within those divisions. Because I don't think we're going to get anything out of Jacksonville. Okay, you're talking about a football team that's going to go 8-9, quite possibly. Tennessee Titans, they are a wild card to maybe win the division, but I don't know where the Colts are going to be. That whole situation's really interesting. We'll dive into that when it gets there. What quarterback is going to show up there? So I just don't see it. It was an interesting idea, and I actually thought about it. Normally, I don't think about it. But when I started in the AFC South, I was like, damn, someone's got to win the division. And say whatever you want. The AFC East has taken a step back in what they are normally doing. Obviously, they don't have the GOAT there. Obviously, things have changed, and they're not winning all the games like they normally do. So that's always something to keep an eye on. The Chicago Bears. USA Today names the Chicago Bears, the 1985 Super Bowl winning Chicago Bears, as the NFL's greatest team of all time. Now, that being said, of course, that's the name of this show. Cuervo, I had this all set for Cuervo, and of course, Cuervo couldn't make it today. But boy, I remember that. The way they tore up the Patriots in the Super Bowl. Never mind getting there, what they needed to get there, and what type of team this was. Dominant. Good football team. One of the best ones there. And then I started thinking about, well, what did they do with their record? And then all of a sudden I started thinking about, and then tripped over this, which I thought was really great. Every NFL team's best record in the regular season, right here. And then I thought about it, and then I looked at it, and I had to ask myself the question. The 85 Bears at 15-1. Now, get this. They were saying that was better than the Patriots 16-0 run. And I'm going to be honest with you. As much I love the Bears, I don't think they would have beat that. I think they're the better, the 2007 Patriots. Man, they've got to be right there. They went 16-0, and not only that, they won all the playoff games. They won more games than the Dolphins when they went undefeated, because they play obviously more games. So they were great. They were definitely great. And that's a good point there too, as far as Bradshaw is concerned, and all those guys, Harrison defense. I don't necessarily know that, but interestingly enough, but I looked at these. There's the 14-0 that the Dolphins did when they went and won 16 games. They went 16-0 and won the Super Bowl. The Carolina Panthers are 15-1. They were a good football team that year. Green Bay doing exactly what they do. Aaron Rodgers 15-1. There's the 2004 Steelers at 15-1, along with the 98 Vikings, as well as the 84 San Francisco 49ers, which was a damn good football team too. And then there's the 13-1s with the Raiders, Colts, and the Kansas City Chiefs. And then you look at that Baltimore 14-2. That was just a few short years ago, before COVID hit. And right around there, even my Jaguars won 14-2 one year. It's when they made the AFC Championship game, and damn near won that game too. The Arizona Cardinals at 13-3, 2015. That was a Kurt Warner deal. Sorry about that. I went on coffin jack and forgot to bring the mic back on. Sorry about that. But you saw the numbers. You saw the teams and where they were in the times that they were good, better, and different. Now, some other things I've found when I was looking out there, and the Kirk Cousins situation in Minnesota. And this popped in front of me, and I, wrong one, hit that one right here. And this was tensions that were rising between Kirk Cousins and Mike Zimmerman in the regular season. Said that the tensions have been rising between them two after the loss against the Browns. And by the way, that was a game I thought I had. I picked the Minnesota Vikings that day. I remember. And he said, I told him face to face that he needs to be better, which is what a coach is supposed to do, by the way, especially if you're Kirk Cousins. So that being said, the whole week going by into the Detroit game, which is a game that they should have blew them out on, by the way. And then Kirk comes right next to me as Greg's going to kick a field goal to win the game, and he does nail the field goal. And then Kirk Cousins turns and grabs him and says, he says, you like that? I just saved your job. when in fact he didn't. But this is what the problem with Minnesota is. They got a guy that they just can't get away from because there's just not that much out there better. And it's tough for an NFL team to do what the 49ers are going to do and start with the young blood. Said I just wanted to punch him. And by the way, and here's the reason why. I mean, the Kirk Cousins deal, and this is just atypical. Only 3 quarterbacks in the NFL history have had a 30,000 yard that has 30,000 yards and 200 touchdowns in the first 115 games. Only 3 have had those. One was Dan Marino. The other was Peyton Manning, and then, of course, Kirk Cousins. Now, that's not saying Kirk Cousins is a Hall of Famer by any stretch. And if someone wants to get up on this show and argue that Kirk Cousins is a Hall of Famer, I'm just going to tell you, he's a Hall of Famer and getting paid. And congratulations for that, because that's not very easy to do. But he has managed to do it for a long time. But take away from that fact, Minnesota is in one of those places where, God, what are you going to do? What more do you got? Who can you get? The Minnesota Vikings dropped the ball in reality on the Kirk Cousins deal too. Because there's really only the 3 teams that are out there that would be running for Jimmy G. I mean, Minnesota should have went after Jimmy G, and Minnesota's one of them. The Panthers should have gotten them. And you can say whatever you want. I don't care what you think about Tua down in Miami. Jimmy G would help the Miami Dolphins big time. And that would really create the AFC East, which we'll talk about next week because Cuervo was sick, or not sick, but he had a prior commitment that he forgot about. Now, granted, there are other teams out there that need quarterbacks. I don't want to make it sound like those are the only ones out there, because there are some teams that could use them. But really, when you think about what's going to be going on, and Marcus Thomas, a former running back for the Philadelphia Eagles, who was on with us at 2 o'clock, stated, in reality, listen, whatever you want to think as far as the former Indianapolis Colt going to Washington, former Philadelphia Eagle Carson Wentz, I'm going to tell you right now, depending on what ends up happening and how Carson Wentz delivers the football, the Washington Redskins could be a dark horse within that division. They're not going to win it, but they could put themselves maybe in a position where maybe they can make the playoffs. Because as Marcus Thomas said, you just don't forget how to play the game. If they can keep him upright, and that's going to be the challenge, there's a dark horse that the Washington Redskins does have. And listen, look what they did with Tyler Heineke, for God's sake, last year. Carson Wentz is much better quarterback, so they definitely upgraded. But interestingly enough, that was one of the things out. And then I started thinking about what, obviously the big deal in this offseason right now, as far as team gangrene. Obviously losing Devontae Adams is a big loss. So when you're Green Bay, what has ended up happening is you've gone from a guy that tripled the amount of receptions to the Raiders, and you bring on Alan Lazard, which, by the way, listen, this guy can play. But when you got Devontae Adams on the other side, this guy's not going to get the ball. He's not going to be able to make the plays. Plus, he's good, but he's not going to be that. I mean, he's not going to bring home money, but he can be a valuable commodity. This is my classic example of a guy who's at the number 1 wide receiver position, and they don't really have a choice, and he is best in number 2. When you take away 1,500 yards away from your team and you only get a replacement of 513, obviously Davante Adams is huge there. But look at the numbers on the average of receptions as far as the yards are concerned, are 12.8 average. So that is huge. Touchdown receptions 8 and 11. So not only is this guy going to get the ball more, not only is this is an opportunity for this guy to develop and become one of the better wide receivers for this football team. Because when you take Davante Adams out of everything, which, by the way, on this thing, he's number 6 as far as receiving yards, 1,000 yards. He's actually number 6. This is you take away a weapon, but you got to create a weapon. Now, there are a lot of guys out there that moved on and made some money. Davante Adams being one. DK Metcalf, $30 million extension, which, by the way, tells me a lot about that organization right now and how much in trouble they quite possibly are. Look, Terry McLaurin, $28 million. Hopkins, 27.5. Hill, 25. A.J. Brown, 23. That Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, listen, you lost some big time work on your offensive game plan. So you're going to have to come up with something. Now, whether or not they'll be able to do so, I don't know. But the Packers, you think about it, you're right, they offset it, but he's going to have to be a main target now. And if you are a Green Bay Packer fan, it's not making you feel well. And you got to ask the question as well. Will they be able to make it in reality into the playoffs? Or, for that matters, what's Aaron Rodgers going to have to do to remain upright since he's not throwing the ball to Davante Adams? It's just something that when you look at everything and you got to ask the question at the end of the day, what's next for Green Bay? Because you lose quite possibly a Hall of Fame wide receiver from a guy that's throwing him the ball who is a Hall of Famer, and you're replacing him with, a jag, just a guy. That can't be really good for you at all. So watch out for that. That's something that I found interesting as far as Green Bay. Where are they going to be? What are they going to do? Then I ran into the quarterback rankings. This came out, and this is according to some website. I forget what it was. I steal pictures. I admit it. But I felt the power rankings were very interesting, but very wrong. Once you get to number 5. Because I think Joe Burrow has to be ahead of Herbert. He was in the Super Bowl. I'm sorry. That is a qualification of being great. Say whatever you want about Joe Burrow. That guy's been to the Super Bowl. So I think I move Burrow up there. I definitely think that Russell Wilson, when he is healthy, he's definitely better than Herbert. And quite possibly better than Deshaun Watson. I think he's better than Watson. And Watson being at number 9 is ridiculous. But there's one miscarriage of justice at the bottom of this list, and Marcus Mariota being the worst quarterback out of these guys. I don't care who you are, what you believe, or who you think Geno Smith might be, or Drew Lock. He's definitely better than – listen, Marcus Mariota is better than the people on the bottom line there with Daniel Jones. And then the rookie out of Pittsburgh, you want to talk about a slap of disrespect, putting Mariota at number 32. And by the way, Jared Goff should be higher. Yes, I said it. Jared Goff at number 27. I think Mac Jones is probably where he needs to be. Number 20, 21, somewhere in that area. I like it. Tua is way too high at 19. Now, I know why they're doing that because of some of the new guys that came on the team, and so they're moving them up. But listen, you still got to deliver the damn ball. Derek Carr at number 14. I think that's about right. So, and by the way, I listen, let's just, okay, I'm going to bring myself up here because I'm just going to say this. I don't give a rat's fat, hairy ass any of the USFL guys coming in here. I don't care. They're not good enough. They're still not good enough. I don't care who they are. And if they see the field, it will be because of desperation. And the Dallas Cowboys signed some too. The USFL was a joke. A complete and utter joke. No one wanted to watch it. Why? Simple enough. It was not good football. Now, I watched it just for something to watch. Now, and I didn't watch it religiously like I did the NFL. Through their year, I can tell you right now, I watched 7 games. And listen, I don't care what the scout needs to be fired. Whoever goes ahead and brings these guys on, one of these guys signed a pretty damn good contract for 3 years. Guaranteed 3 years, something absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, don't bring it up. Don't bring it up. I said, just stop it. So that said, I'm just going to tell you, I predict those guys getting hurt and waste the money. And listen, before you sign, one of them signed a pretty big deal. I forget where it was, and I was like, "Geez, Louise." I sometimes think I can do this job. I really do. Yeah, give me the GM job somewhere. I'll get you a football team, for God's sake. Some of the fastest players, of course, Tyreek Hill there, Jonathan Taylor, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Waddle. I like that. Derrick Henry, of course, Raheem Mostert, DK Metcalf, John Ross, Marquise Goodwin, by the way, is a Seattle Seahawk this year. He got to say, I'm really happy about that, by the way. Former Rowlett Eagle. Of course, those are the games that we're calling and stuff like that. And then Marquise Brown with the Arizona Cardinals. And, of course, Jamar Chase. And I think Jamar Chase is probably a little bit faster than some of those other ones. But the Browns, though, signed an insurance policy. Here's your insurance policy for the Browns. And I wish I could say this is a good move. I wish I could say it, because you want to talk about a guy that has gotten a bad rap over the years. Josh Rosen. This dude, man, oh man. When you talk about a guy that has been put through the ringer, Josh Rosen is one of them. Good God. And this guy came out big time. He was drafted by Arizona Cardinals, I think, by number 20. Is draft number 20. And that's sticking in my head, and I think I'm right. And then he bounced around of course, when he was with the Cardinals were the Cardinals and couldn't do anything. But Josh Rosen was a guy that was really predicted to be somebody worth a nickel. And he never was able to live up to that nickel that was there. So that's where it is. Running back power rankings. Thought were interesting. I think they're wrong. Number 1 is definitely wrong. Number one should not be higher than Derrick Henry. Nick Chubb, I like at number 2. I think that one's good. Christian McCaffrey can't stay out on the football field. How you got him at number 5? Listen, when you're figuring out power rankings, you got to figure out whether or not a guy's going to be on the field. And Christian McCaffrey has shown for the last 3 years that he can't. So power rankings for this guy, horrible. And this is according to Pro Football Network. And Delvin Cook, I love him. By the way, listen, even with Kirk Cousins at the quarterback position, that wide receiver you got, that's name slip on my mind. I'm telling you right now, that team, you're going to have to look out for the Minnesota Vikings. This is not going to be easy out like it's been. And Kirk Cousins maybe puts it together for more than one game, it would be interesting. I don't know why. I agree with you 100%, Anthony. 100%. And Elliott is way too high because, hell, some people even think Pollard's better than Elliott. So, interestingly enough, Kamara, I think, is maybe a little overrated. Remember, you're going to lose him for 6 weeks now. I like Eckler as well, but I think Eckler might, you can't just be running back. Eckler is going to be really good at receiving the ball. He might be, somewhere, where he needs to be, I guess, if you throw those in there. I don't know about some of these other guys, but Tony Pollard's at number 15. And I would probably flip Pollard and Elliott because, listen, I'm telling you right now, if the Dallas Cowboys do not use him, that being Pollard, in between the 20s and let Zeke get his feed me more touchdowns, then the Dallas Cowboys at the running back position is going to be really insulting. So, but, by the way, guys, guess what? We're doing the pick'em game. The bragging rights pick'em game is out and ready to go. All you got to do is contact me with your email address. I'll send it out there. Take a look at that. It is the bragging rights pick'em game. Who will win it this year? I think it's going to be me. Watch out for it. Sign up for it. When it gets you set. Is your team going to win this week? Find out. See what you can do when it comes down to the pick'em game. It's going to be a lot of fun. I am so looking forward to it. And I'm really excited about just that part of, that one of the things that I do get back is I get back a few moments to where I don't have to write it all down like I know I used to do. I got 5 years of spiral notebook right here, and then I got 3 more of them in the closet. So, and plus, I haven't won for the last 3 years, so I'm a little bit perturbed about that. So I got my eyes set, and we are giving away a plaque for the winner in the regular season, as well as the playoffs on the pick'em in the playoffs. I won the playoff pick'em 1-by-1 game, so I did that. So congratulations to me. But we will do that. We'll get it set with your name on it. The Couch Potato Sports Row brag and right pick'em game, and your name on it, and the year, and we'll get that sent out to you. And if somehow you beat me, I don't know. So watch out. It's gonna be fun. I'm looking forward to this year. And Todd, I got an idea, by the way. If you send me your picks, I'll get them up there, and I'll use a different email, and I'll do it for you. And if you send me the picks, I'll put them up there and have your name there. So if you want to do that, I could do that for you. So let me know if you want me to do that. We can do that. If not, you can hang out on the side, keep track of it, and you'll always be able to see it on the landing page over on the fantasy page. So on Yahoo. So all set and ready to go. Oh wow. All right. So interestingly enough, I saw something about this, and it's not really sports related, but kind of in the leisure side of what we do here on the Couch Potato Sports Show. There has been if you watch Star Trek, Nichelle Nichols passed away. She was O'Hara. And I just saw a thing about her on it's a show called Who's Telling the Truth, and her son and a Nichols manager were back and forth on something. And the first, it was the first interracial kiss on TV. Never mind that intergalactic kiss, if you want to go that route. She passed away. Godspeed to her. Just noted out here. So I just got the nose on that. So I'd say I don't know, and I don't think I have anything else, but I want to check. Let me push this button here and find out if I covered everything that I had set up for the show. Move up. I got that. Oh no, this one right here. Bang. This is the fanfare over in Washington at the training camp. Listen, a lot of these places, man, they sell tickets. They make a lot of money for training camp, for you to come and take a look at training camp. But these are for day 2 at the Commanders training camp. Dude, you can count on 2 hands how many fans are there. Now, I don't know if that is an omen on what's going to happen for them this year, but I think it might tell you how many people might be in the stands. I don't know. But that's quite scary when you think about that whole situation. So next week, we start our 2-a-days. Okay? We're going to start AFC, NFC East. We were supposed to do it today, but Cuervo did get called away. And I had Marcus Thomas already set to join us to talk about the Philadelphia Eagles and the NFC East. If you didn't catch that, that was at 2 o'clock. We did that after we've been on the air for a half hour. Some good stuff there, talking about the Philadelphia Eagles and folks that like the Philadelphia Eagles. By the way, guys, we are right now 26 days away from the Couch Potato Sports Show, getting back in the booth for high school football here in the Texas area, covering the Saxe Mustangs, and I am jazzed. I'm excited. I'm ready to go. And we have been premiering the intros that we'll be doing for the games, and here is one right here. The Saxe Mustangs, August 25th, coming to you live from Homer B. Johnson Stadium on the Couch Potato Sports Show. The Eagle Eye Bill Cerna, Big Red Butch Wesson, as well as myself, going to be on the call. I cannot tell you how excited. We're bringing you new videos. We're going to be doing lots of stuff. Video commentary. Again, guys, for video commentary, just let you know, you can't see the game. You get just see us in the booth. We're going to have all kinds of graphics and things that are going to be coming up during the games. It's going to be a lot of fun. You just saw the intros, also getting set for the preseason game pre-show. As I'll bring in Bill Cerna, that Eagle Eye, Bill Cerna, and Big Red for that, as well as the head coach of the Saxe Mustangs, Red Barons, is going to be in with us on that. It's going to be lots of fun with that. We'll also be bringing in JP Phillips. He is the Saxe Mustang booster. He heads that booster thing up, and you want to get some information. This guy's got more information than anything, because sometimes it's hard to get the information that we're looking for, but we might have a little better insight to do that, to help with our broadcasts of the games. So that happens again on August 25th. Look out for that. It's going to be a lot of fun. And check us out as we bring you and get back into the actual booth. Lots of fun. And if you can't tell that I'm excited, you haven't been watching the show. So that's going to do it for me, Sonny Clark, the hardest working man in sports radio. We'll see you next week at 11 a.m. for the first of the two-a-days, AFC and NFC East, as we cover those teams in those divisions. We'll see you Sunday, everybody. Have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.